Welcome to the Daily Share. I'm Christi Paul. Donald Trump making his much anticipated acceptance speech at the Republican National Convention last night. Here's the thing, he spoke for 75 minutes and he said an awful lot. We want to dig a little deeper into that by looking at some key moments using Donald Trump's body language here. I'm wondering if there's anything that you noticed, because there was something specific that one of our producers noticed as he was looking back at what happened yesterday. Let's bring in Chris Ulrich, first of all. He's the senior instructor of the Body Language Institute. Chris, good to have you with us. So I want to show you here. Thank you. Good to have you as well. I want to show you here this moment where Trump and his family are on stage. You see that highlighted part there? We believe that to be Reince Priebus. As everybody's clapping and celebrating, he's pushing Trump and Pence out into to the front of the stage. It's almost as though they didn't know that they should have been moving forward to command more of that spotlight. When you see this, do you have any thoughts?
Well, one thing for both Pence and Donald Trump in that moment, they may have been caught up in the moment themselves. If you think of Donald Trump, this is his first go-around as a presidential candidate, as a politician. So his first instinct may have been to be with the group. So the push out may have been even for him to be so excited in the moment that in that moment he would need a little push to go out. And then, of course, he went out with Governor Pence.
They did, absolutely, Chris. So let's look at this together, because during his address, Donald Trump, he paused, he stepped back from the podium here for a moment. There he goes. And they're, maybe encouraging the crowd a little bit. This particular part of the speech, just to remind folks, it was about putting America first. And it really caused him to get that reaction, to try to get the crowd off their feet. What is your read about that?
Christi, that's a great pickup as you've watched this. This is a really important moment for Donald Trump in this particular moment. At first, he's getting ready to deliver that, but then the audience gets roused up, USA chants, so he pauses, he conducts that for a moment. And then literally what we see him do in that moment is almost like a psychological distancing, to give himself a moment to reset, because he knows he needs to deliver that line with a real punch. Americanism over globalism. So he literally, physiologically and psychologically, steps backward. Almost, we see this too in law enforcement, in videos where a criminal suspect reels back, takes a step back, then throws the punch. In a similar way, we do that when we need to bring up a lot of oomph and energy. We see Trump do that. He steps back and delivers that killer line, which he knows is crucial to his message and to setting the tone for the message he wants to take into the general election in the fall.
That is so interesting. All right, we know that he accepted, obviously, the Republican nomination for president. Let's take a look at his body language here. It's a big moment.
Okay.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States.
Chris, anything that stands out to you?
Yes. Well, it's a quintessential moment for him as businessman turned politician to accepting this nomination for the role of the Republican candidate for president, the nominee. And so in that moment, we see the humility and humble is not something we often associate with Donald Trump. Trump is Trump. He's big. He takes up a lot of space. And literally, the only thing that it gets small for a moment. He implodes in his body language, getting smaller, just to say, I humbly accept. And then he can't help himself. He gets big with his body language. Hands are up. He's excited, and we even see it in the tone he takes on. These are, he does almost like this palms up gesture in this particular moment. And he also has his hands out on the podium, anchoring himself, taking up space, getting bigger. So it's almost like he humbly accepts and grows into the moment of this monumental moment for himself and it's congruent with his body language at first, but then he can't help himself, and he shows this broadside display, and that's what we come to more expect from Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's true. But let's talk about Ivanka Trump. She stood so tall. She's so graceful and poised and well-spoken, and really impressed a lot of people as she introduced her father, and also the content of her words. She said that she doesn't consider herself to be a Democrat or a Republican. Let's listen here.
Okay.
Like many of my fellow millennials, I do not consider myself categorically Republican or Democrat. More than party affiliation, I vote based on what I believe is right for my family and for my country. Sometimes it's a tough choice. That is not the case this time. As the proud daughter of your nominee, I am here to tell you that this is the moment and Donald Trump is the person.
She's obviously, she's so comfortable, she seems, in her own skin. Do you get that same read?
Yes, and that's an excellent read on your end. For Ivanka Trump, her baseline, when we're reading body language to be effective at it, we always need a baseline of the person we're looking at. And her baseline is calm, cool, collected. And we see that in her body language as well. She's kind of the antithesis of her father, who's very he does a lot of gesturing. She does not. She's very still in her body language, and it's reflected in her tone. It gives her that poise, and that confidence comes across. And she's open to Christi in her body language. She's not blocking any of her power zones, her neck dimple, or her belly button, or her lower regions at all. She's open. So she gives the message and delivers it in a calm, collected fashion, which is part of her baseline. The only time we see her get excited is toward the end there, and when she introduces her father, it's the most I've seen her just get really excited in that moment as she says, "My father, Donald Trump." And so that's like, you know, an escalation for her based on how poised and calm she often is.
I think we can learn a lot from you about what we should do if we ever have to stand up at a podium based on what you're saying. Another quick video here I want to share with you that our producers pulled is Donald Trump is entering the stage here. He's clapping. He kisses Ivanka. Here they go. She's going to exit the stage. And he continues clapping. I look at this and I think, my goodness, regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, what a moment this must be for father and daughter here. He continues to clap as he approaches the podium. What do you take away from that?
Well, you're right. It's a very powerful moment. And it actually starts a few steps back. When she first introduces him, he comes out and he pauses in that kind of the hallway there, almost framing himself to come across powerfully in that particular moment. And we say in those moments you want to frame yourself to fame yourself. When he first steps out right there, and he pauses there to take in the whole moment and give us an opportunity. When you frame yourself, you come across more powerfully. And when he steps out, it's a very touching moment for he and his daughter. And he pauses there to clap. It's a lovely moment between a daughter and a father, as well as gives him a moment to accept and acknowledge the crowd. We see other presidential candidates have come in from different ways to spark that moment. Different ways to excite the audiences. Al Gore came in from the back when he accepted the nominating speech and took the audience with him almost to speak. We're in this together, and this was both a family moment for Trump like that and also a touching moment that he can share with not only his daughter but America.
No doubt about it. Chris Ulrich, we appreciate your expertise. Thank you for being with us.
Christi, thank you.